one thing we can agree on and applaud is the work of the WBB team at Brandeis and how they stood up for themselves. I mean, Alicia, this story is incredible.
It is absolutely incredible. And it's also enraging in a lot of ways because they shouldn't have had to stand up for themselves. Carol Simon has been coaching the team for 37 seasons. And yeah, it is a really long time. And in 2023, they found that she did violate the school's rules and had racist comments and actions that she directed towards the players. She was actually put on administrative leave for an entire year. And then they reinstated her in March to come back. And all of the players on the team said, absolutely not. And they said that they would not come back to play if she was the coach. Now, since that has happened, she has retired, which we all know what that is.
Retired, for people who don't know, is just a nice way of saying you retired before you could be fired. So
exactly.
Kind of read between the lines for people who don't know what that means.
Yeah, and it's also important to know that two of her superiors, like two of the people who were above her, used to play for her as well. So there's that layer. And the players said that that never would have happened if they didn't stand up for themselves. And my thing is, it should never get to that point. If you know that somebody has done something like that, racist comments and actions towards players, you don't put them on administrative leave. You fire them immediately. There is no room for that in sports, period, nor women's sports anywhere. We don't need that. No, you should protect the players at all costs. If you find that there was an actual investigation where they found that, you don't let somebody sit out for a year and then sneak them back in and think that everything is going to be good.
And I think that's the key here, right? Because I think that administrative leave, obviously, when you are in the middle of an investigation until you are found guilty or innocent, depending on what the outcome is, that's the appropriate, response. You don't fire somebody right away because there's an allegation, because you have to do your due diligence. But to your point, once that investigation is completed, and you see that this person either did or didn't do what they're being accused of, it's kind of black and white at that point. It's very cut and dry. So to your point, it is very disheartening that an investigation, you would go through the process, the due process of, every step in the book and do it by the book and come to the conclusion that X did Y and Z is the punishment and say, you know what, let's just put her on pause. No, there's no pause. No. That's it. It's cut and dry. Yeah.
As a coach, there are things that you just cannot do. And obviously this is one of them. And we've seen in programs across all sports that people know that things are going on. They let things slide because this person is either winning or maybe she just isn't been there for 37 years or whatever the case may be. And so they let things slide and let things happen to these players that is detrimental to them in life for life. We're not even talking about what's happening on the court. We're talking about mental and physical abuse. We don't need that in sport. We need to protect the players who are out there playing every night for these schools or whatever they're playing for.
And it also shouldn't be up to the players to, I feel like, kind of vouch for themselves. I feel like there are systems in place at these schools, or at least there should be, at these schools within these programs that are supposed to look out for the betterment and for the good of the player and players. And I think that it got to the point where it's very again, I'm using the word disheartening, that the team had to come together and say, no, we're not going to play for her because this is what she did. And this is what you guys have investigated to show that she did. So it's just very disheartening that the players had to take that extra step to go ahead and protect themselves from someone who should not be coaching them, instead of having a system or systems in place that do it for them. I think that's kind of a part. I think that's the biggest part for me. Because I think at the end of the day, sometimes a lot of these bigger programs or even smaller programs, they look out for each other and they don't really look out for the young women or the young men wearing these jerseys and kind of bringing in the revenue and bringing in the eyes, which is very unfortunate. But I think that when there comes to certain situations, you kind of hope that certain things trump financial gain or, loyalty, and you look out for the betterment of the young minds that you're kind of crafting and developing. And to me, the biggest part of this is like that didn't happen. I think that's like the hardest pill to swallow, you know?
It's very hard. And also, there's so many amazing coaches out there
Yeah, that's true.
that need the opportunity to coach and should coach women like this. And we're letting somebody who doesn't deserve to be there continue to coach. And really, it's a really bad thing for the rest of their lives that they've had to go through this and had to stand up for themselves time and time again. Believe the players. You did a whole investigation. Do what's right and let the coach go. And also, don't let her retire.
Yeah, that's enough, because then
Don't
you get your pension, you get your
all of
benefits. When
that.
you retire and you're not fired, you do reap all of your benefits, depending on how long you've been there. There are different benefits, different tiers and stuff like that. So basically, it's like a slap on the wrist at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
really like a full blown. Listen, I'm telling you.
No, it's frustrating, and that's across the board, not just in this case, but it happens in sports all of the time, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely again have to shout out the players for
Yeah,
speaking up and
absolutely.
going through the due diligence of using their voice in a way that benefits them, and not only benefits them, but I think sets a precedent for teams that will follow them. It's a very brave thing to do, and it's hard because you have to get sometimes like it's like you ever do jury duty?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I've been in jury duty too.
Yes.
And listen, sometimes there's always that one person in jury duty who's like, oh, I don't know, I don't think they did it, or I don't know. It's like, can you just pick a side? Like, you got to get everyone on the same page for them to be able to do that. As young as they are is a testament to just, I feel like the changing of the times that we are, these young men and women are not afraid to use their voices to power change. And I think that's very, very admirable.